Star Wars Holdouts is of my fan-made Star Wars series that I wrote in college because I was bored and felt like some Star Wars shows have been lacking creativity and originality. Anyway, this is the second season of Star Wars Holdouts. If you haven't already, I recommend that you watch my video on Season 1 before continuing this video. And with that, on to Season 2 of the series. Episode 1, titled Fortitude, starts off in 18 BBY, and Commander Phil is sent to the planet Fest with a scouting party to establish an Imperial base inside of the Fortress Fortitude. On the surface, the scouting party is determining how viable Fortitude is for an Imperial medical center or not. Fortitude was hosted by the Sith Empire during the Old Republic era and has since been taken over by separatist insurgents. Commander Phil and his party cleared out Fortitude of the rebels and easily defeats them, but the Empire, after hearing about the rebels and after Phil's forces have already defeated them, has decided to abandon the idea of using it as a hospital and already sent in a research force to build a new facility for Moff Searden. Fortitude's fortress is destroyed and the material is then used to build the research facility. Phil then joins Rex's resistance network after the waste of several of his men's lives. Episode 2 is titled The Force Unleashed, and on Kashyyyk, Mali Merrick is killed by Trandoshans who alert the Empire that there are Jedi on Kashyyyk. Darth Vader and the 501st Legion attack a Wookiee stronghold. The Wookiee resistance is easily put down with AT-AT walkers, LAATs, TX-130s, and turbo tanks. Vader then defeats a rogue Jedi survivor named Kento Merrick and abducts Galen Merrick to train him. This was just an episode to remind people that the Force Unleashed video games exist and they are awesome. Episode 3 is titled Memories, and during the Western Reaches pacification operations, the Empire starts the Shrouded Offensive. The Imperials started the first phase of the Battle of Oster, but during that time a scouting party also found the lost planet of Bora Vio, where an expedition lands after recovering old records from the Republic Leto War that detailed the Sparty cloning centers. The Imperial expedition is led by Pelion, who remembered part of the facility during the Republic Leto War as he was a veteran of that war. However, some of the cloning chambers were reactivated by a careless officer, and the rogue templates attacked the Imperials. Dr. Pershing soon acquires the Sparty cloning technology that he needed, and the Imperials flee before destroying the facility. After the facility had been destroyed, Palpatine is overjoyed that the Sparty cloning cylinders have been acquired, and he has them transported to the deep core world of Biss, where he has plans for them in the future. Episode 4 is titled The Deep Core, and Commander Blackout and his battalion of Stealth Ops troopers are sent to the Deep Core planet of Biss to set up superweapons operations and transport the Sparty cloning technology. However, upon arrival, the clones are immediately replaced by TK troopers, and Blackout's battalion is sent to guard the hyperspace lanes that linked Biss to the core worlds with 2 Venators and an Acclamator, where they stop encounters by both smugglers and renegade former Republic loyalist militias trying to pass through the deep core to escape into the unknown regions. Meanwhile, the Sparty cloning cylinders are unloaded and set up on Biss. The battalion of clones, however, gets bored with their task and defects to Rex's network after capturing a former loyalist militiaman and learning that the militia was working on behalf of the Clone Rebellion. Episode 5 is titled Mystery of the Force, and on Lothal, the 181st Armored Division of clones is in charge of the occupation following an attack by insurgents on Imperial mining operations to extract shipbuilding resources. A squad of 181st troopers chase down an insurgent cell into a cave system and discovers the Lothal Jedi Temple with the gateway to the world between worlds as it opens. As their comms are jammed, the 181st troopers enter the portal and it closes after they all go inside. Once inside, they see a young Palpatine kill a Jedi for Plagueis, him orchestrating the Clone Wars, and Windu attempting to kill Palpatine. The squad realizes that the truth of Palpatine has finally been revealed to them, and they attempt to escape but cannot get out. They then jump through a random portal that they see to try to get back to where they were, but they find themselves on the planet Pilio during a battle between the Old Republic and Sith Empire. This episode links back to Season 1, Episode 15, titled Fissure, where Rancor Battalion met the 181st Battalion in the Old Republic Battle of Pilio, as well as a Clone Wars arc on Pilio that I had written where the GAR finds 181st Trooper helmets that appear to have aged over 3,500 years. In Episode 6, titled Incursion, a contingent of Imperial clone troopers of the 327th Star Corps is based on the Outer Rim to guard an observatory which looks into the unknown regions after they are transferred from the planet of Felucia. A Yuzang Vong scouting party is seen from their observatory moving towards the galaxy but is destroyed by a Chiss fleet. The 327th are then tasked with chasing down a fleeing Jedi who is headed into the unknown regions, where the 327th fleet has to face off against a Vigari fleet, which they easily destroy, and then they kill a Jedi on the planetoid in the star cluster known as the Redoubt. However, the 327th are marooned on the planet as their ships lost fuel when battle damaged by the Vigari. On the planet, the clones find the wreckage of the outbound flight and a colony of the survivors. Episode 7, titled Mutiny, sees the Empire send a detachment of TK troopers to put down a garrison of mutinying clones of the 458th Battalion on Scarif, who send a distress call for support. The mutineers defeat the TK troopers rather easily and receive an encrypted message from Captain Rex to join the clone rebellion. The 458th survive another attack by the Empire as they take control of a Venator-class Star Destroyer on the planet Scarif and blast off into hyperspace. Meanwhile, back on Scarif, the Empire continues to construct their records facility. Episode 8 is titled Candidates, and in it, the Empire sends a company of clone troopers to the planet Droman Kos to put down an insurgency which is disrupting Dr. Silo's work. After a battle, the clones are captured by Silo, who experiments on them for Palpatine, with Dr. Royce Hemlock making them into Phase 0 Dark Troopers. Inside of Silo's lab, the abducted 41st and 442nd clone troopers from Season 1, Episode 11, titled Edges, have been turned into Dark Troopers. But Silo also adds cybernetic implants so that the clones would follow his orders at any time. The Dark Troopers are sent back to the Empire, but instead they decide to turn on the Silo Directive and destroy part of the facility. Episode 9, titled Caesar, takes place on Megiddo, and a squad of Imperial commandos are sent in on a combat search and rescue operation after insurgents have downed a diplomatic shuttle that was going to Megiddo to mediate a dispute between workers and management. However, both the workers and management have been massacred by the insurgents. The insurgents then surround the shuttle, which is only defended by the surviving co-pilot and 2 clone troopers with an Imperial senator. The commandos go through fierce fighting against the insurgents from their drop point and see that mass graves of the victims from the enemy insurgents. At the crash site, the senator is shot dead by an insurgent, and the co-pilot is dragged out of the shuttle. The 2 clones are held at gunpoint as the commandos arrive and kill all of the insurgents and rescue the 3 surviving clones. Episode 10, titled Justice and Security, sees Commander Thyre and the Coruscant Guard go to the lower levels of Coruscant to wipe out a growing illegal drug cartel spice-running organization for the Pikes. Separatist rebels have also been turning the drug trade to earn money and to finance their operations at the expense of the people of Coruscant. Therefore, the Empire sees the operation as a win-win. Strike a blow to the drug trade and stop the funding of separatist rebels, while also improving the lives of people on Coruscant. Thyre and the Guard wipe out many manufacturing warehouses and supply drops for the cartel through extreme violence and using extremely prejudiced measures, including the beating to death of many Pikes and execution of cartel members. The Guard also uses many explosives and gunships to blast apart separatist forces and also any cartel strongholds that they come across before being decommissioned and fully replaced by TK troopers. Episode 11 is titled Web of Lies and witnesses Commander Monk and his battalion of scuba troopers being sent back to the planet Mon Cala after Imperial reports indicated that some of the Quarren were supplying cruisers to rebels after the previous Imperial invasion of the planet and pacification of Mon Calamari. The clones confirmed that the reports must be accurate after doing a deep scan of the ocean floor, which finds where cruisers had been located. The battalion fights a battle against the Quarren and requests support for a swift victory, but receives no response from Imperial High Command. The scuba troopers are able to defeat the Quarren with relatively light casualties, but there are still significant deaths. After their victory, the clones found out that they did not receive support because the cruisers were no longer there, and the Quarren posed little threat to the Empire on their own. However, Commander Monk learns the truth when he discovers that not only did the Empire know that there were no cruisers there, but also no Mon Calamari cruisers had ever been built by the Quarren since the pacification of the Mon Calamari people, and the Empire was just trying to use the pacification of the Quarren to send a message to the rest of the planets in the system. Episode 12, called Shock and Awe, witnesses the 87th Sentinel Corps with the large Kyber crystal from Season 1 that had joined Captain Rex's clone rebellion free a group of clone deserters from the 7th Legion who were being transported to Droman Kos for Silo's experiments. To boost their image in the public eye following their previous images as Imperial occupiers, the clones decide to liberate the planet of Bazara following the CIS occupation to do so before the Empire conquers the planet. On their planet, Rex has the 87th Corps launch a massive air campaign which reduces the Separatist air defenses to mere rubble. The air campaign is followed by a ground attack of ATTEs and 5 turbo tanks, which deposed the CIS after a single massive tank battle against AATs and other Separatist tanks, in which the clones only suffered 1 ATTE destroyed compared to 90% of the Separatist tanks destroyed. The planet is freed relatively easily after that, and the Empire no longer comes to the planet because they see no reason to. Episode 13, titled The Mission, takes place on an axis where a group of construction workers rebuilding the planet after the war are hijacked by a Separatist group while flying on a shuttle to rebuild an airbase. Commandos from Sticky and Jam squads are sent in to rescue them. The clone commandos successfully free the hijacked workers after infiltrating the Separatist-controlled airbase on an axis. However, the Separatist hijackers then cause a cataclysmic event by igniting a hypermatter stockpile when a shipyard main reactor failed. Commandos escape with the workers and are contacted by Rex to join his clone rebellion cell after the Empire orders the commandos to be court-martialed for letting Anaxis be destroyed. Episode 14 is called Fractured, and on Anaxis, the 9th Siege Battalion and 308th Mortar Company are sent in to assess the damages to the outpost and salvage what can be taken back to the Empire. As the planet decays, the troopers take minimal equipment and mostly small arms back with them off of the surface. The Empire deems the haul to be too small and punishes both units by sending them to survey the borders of the unknown regions and probe it for holes between the barriers. Palpatine had previously determined that the border was artificially created during the Old Republic era and that the clones arrive on the Lehon system where they find the remains of the old Starforge from the Old Republic era through the tempered wastes on the planet Rakata Prime. On the planet, an escaped Separatist militia had established a base from Darth Bane's old empire using some of Dooku's star charts. The 2 clone units bombard the militia, and a platoon goes to the surface to decimate any remaining Separatists and recover the star charts. After the mission, the units are reassigned, and Palpatine is satisfied that Dooku's last-ditch effort had not provoked any threats from the unknown regions as he further militarizes the border between the unknown regions and the known galaxy. Episode 15 is titled Not Going Back and takes place on the planet Malachor 5, where a Venator of 187th troopers are ordered by Palpatine to investigate if there is any threats to the Empire on the surface as they follow a former Separatist dark side assassin to the planet. The planet itself is very unstable as several gunships of clones land on the surface. They find the remains of a battle between the Old Republic and Sith Empire as they chase the fugitive Separatist assassin. The assassin is killed by the clones, and the 187th escape the planet before their ships are destroyed by the planetary instability and various anomalies. Upon returning to the Empire, the 187th recommend that the planet never be visited again. Episode 16 is called Dug In, and on the planet Ebonek, the 501st Legion, under the command of Clone Commander Bo and Darth Vader, are in the process of putting down an insurgency which has grown to make the planetary security forces defect from the Empire. The Empire uses overwhelming force in the form of orbital bombardments and heavy walkers to crush the rebellion as well as the defected security forces to establish a prison for insurgents and Jedi survivors that would be interrogated. Ebonek then becomes essentially an entire prison planet as the 501st are transferred off and replaced by TK troopers to guard any prisoners. Episode 17 is titled Expedition, and in the Imperial Palace on Coruscant, Palpatine assigns a company of the 3rd Marines under the command of Clone Commander Daly to accompany Imperial archaeologists and scientists to the edges of the unknown regions to determine if it was natural or artificial. On the way, they encounter a Separatist terrorist organization committed to Dooku's legacy who are attempting to break through the barrier to disappear after attacking a ship full of civilians. After boarding the Separatist ship and killing the terrorists on board, the Imperials confiscate all the information the Separatists have on the barrier. The archaeologists then go into space to observe the barrier for themselves and determine that it was artificially created during the Old Republic to keep something out or keep everything else in the galaxy in. In episode 18 called Cells, Separatist militia leader Krieger attacks an Imperial weather station on the planet Huranadwake, which causes the planet to experience extreme weather conditions which harm the population. The Empire sends in Commander Keller and his Marine battalion to defeat Krieger's forces in the harsh snowlands, while Commander Jet and his battalion go to the extreme desert, and the 224th Mud Jumpers battalion goes into the swampy wetlands against Krieger himself. Keller's men kill all of the insurgents they come across, and Jet's men are able to defeat reactivated battle droids and the Separatist armored units. Meanwhile, the Mud Jumpers are able to force Krieger and his forces out of hiding. Commander Jet's men re-establish the weather station on the planet that no longer does all of these various extreme weather conditions, and Jet himself then sees Krieger escape on a Separatist shuttle as he had escaped from the Mudjumpers, but all of the rest of the Separatist units have been destroyed and defeated. Krieger is the only survivor, and he escapes the planet alone. The season finale, episode 19, is called Pirating, and in it, on the planet Vosek, Hondo Onaka and the remains of his pirate crew raid an Imperial weapons depot guarded by TK troopers. The pirates suffer many casualties against the TK troopers, but the Imperial conscripts show themselves to be a very ineffective security force at protecting the base. Hondo and his crew escape with weapons and some Imperial ships while also disabling the communications network at the base. After the raid, Hondo contacts Rex and tells him that he has the weapons and Imperial guided missiles if Rex is ready to make a deal, which Rex responds that he has the credits and they also have a new job for Hondo after the deal is done. And that is my second season of Star Wars Holdouts. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and if you have any questions about anything. I have 2 more seasons of Holdouts to go, so maybe I'll see you then, and thank you for watching.